Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, US Immigration News. We hope you're doing great. Well, in today's video, we will be talking about activists' call on Kamala Harris, now the potential Democratic nominee, to fulfill Biden's immigration promises. As Vice President Kamala Harris steps into the spotlight as the likely Democratic nominee following Joe Biden's unexpected withdrawal from the presidential race, a pivotal question emerges: will she honor and advance Biden's immigration promises? Activists and immigrant advocates are watching closely, urging Harris to tackle the unfinished business of immigration reform and address the pressing needs of millions of undocumented individuals with the future of key promises hanging in the balance. Harris's approach to these issues will be critical in shaping her campaign and the direction of the Democratic Party. If you are interested in this, so to get all the information, pay attention and watch the video through to the end. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. So, without any further delay, let's jump into the video. Joe Biden's withdrawal from the presidential candidacy and his support for his vice president, Kamala Harris, raises questions about what will happen with immigration promises, especially those related to the legalization of millions of undocumented immigrants. Rumors about Joe Biden's withdrawal from the Democratic Party's presidential nomination surfaced strongly on Thursday evening. Sources in the ruling party had warned that discussions were currently centered on who would also be in charge of giving an option for the post, whether the president or the factions that lead the party leadership. 3 days later, and amid strong internal pressure, it was Biden himself who announced that he was dropping out of the race for re-election and that he favored having the vice president, Kamala Harris, take his place. She helped him win a difficult race in 2020 against former President Donald Trump, who is now seeking to return to the White House for a second term. Shortly after Biden's announcement, former President Barack Obama praised the president's decision but warned that it placed Democrats in uncharted territory. Obama's fears are shared by activists who fight for and defend the rights of immigrants. We asked Abel Nunez, executive director of the Central American Resource Center Carson in Washington, D.C., if there is fear for the future of millions of undocumented immigrants living in the country in the face of this new scenario. Unfortunately, yes, we are concerned about many things that the President Biden was doing, although we also value the good things he has done for our community. He replied, Harris has not shown on that issue immigration. We want to see an agenda beyond what has been shown so far, and we ask him to fulfill all of President Biden's campaign promises. Asked about the parts of Biden's immigration policy that do not have the support of the immigrant community, Nunez mentioned the restrictions on asylum policy, the closure of the border, and granting extraordinary powers to border agents to deport at the border and not refer cases to immigration courts. The Parole in Place, a program that will allow some 500,000 undocumented spouses of citizens to apply for permanent residency starting August 19th, as well as some 50,000 undocumented children of these marriages, is good. We applaud it, but it should have been done earlier, at the beginning of his term in 2021, said the activist. Kamala Harris thanks Biden for his support and says she will seek to be the Democratic candidate. Conflicting opinions among activists on a possible Kamala Harris candidacy. For other activists, Biden's expressed support for Harris did not go down well. Deeply disappointed, said Juan Jose Gutierrez, executive director of the Full Immigrant Rights Coalition in Los Angeles, California, after hearing the news. President Biden has taken the liberty of giving us his opinion regarding who should be the replacement in this case. We think he should have called for bringing new people, new blood, to the front of the party and not imposing Harris on us. It is a catastrophic political mistake. We should not have an imposition, but rather an open democratic convention where delegates vote and the best candidate wins, the activist said. Gutierrez warned that without this process, we will end up just like now, an unstoppable march into the void. We do not see Kamala Harris as a candidate who is going to win the November 5th elections. For now, giving her the nomination without a rich and substantial debate is a lack of respect for the base. Gutierrez's opinion is not shared by Angelica Salas, executive director of the Coalition for Human Rights of Immigrants of Los Angeles, who says that Biden's decision to withdraw from the candidacy and leave Vice President Harris in charge demonstrates a duty to ensure that the nation and the party are united. They have a great responsibility to safeguard democracy and ensure that a person like Trump is not re-elected because he represents racism, xenophobia, and disrespect for women. Biden's decision was very brave, and we trust that Harris will continue to move forward with the president's agenda, the same one shown long before the 2020 campaign in favor of legalizing millions of undocumented immigrants through immigration reform, she added. Salas recalled that Harris visited detention centers and helped return detained and forcibly separated children. He also said that the vice president joined California Attorney General Xavier Becerra in calling for an end to Trump's zero-tolerance policies. Where does Biden's immigration agenda stand? Biden has maintained the goal of immigration reform that includes a path to permanent residency and then citizenship for millions of undocumented immigrants living in the United States, some for decades, estimated at some 10.5 million agreements according to data from the Pew Center. But to achieve this, Democrats must not only win the November 5th election and stay in the White House, but also gain control of both chambers of Congress. For now, Republicans hold the majority in the House of Representatives, and Democrats hold the Senate, but only by one vote. The difference is not enough to pass laws. Where a majority of 60 is required, Democrats only have 48 plus the support of 3 independents. However, not all of them have supported Biden's immigration policies. Faced with this scenario and the lack of bipartisan support in Congress, Biden has been forced to postpone his campaign promises and carry out palliative measures through decrees permitted by his executive branch, thereby reversing the crisis at the border with the arrest of more than 10 million foreigners on the border with Mexico in the last 3.5 years, of which more than 7.5 million have been deported. The solution proposed by the White House last October was to ask Congress for an emergency budget allocation of $14 billion that would be used to hire 2,400 new border security agents, 4,300 asylum agents for the Immigration Service, and create 100 new immigration courts, all to speed up processes and relieve congestion at the border. The plan, backed by senators from both parties, was close to being approved in February. But Trump intervened to stop it and thus continued to hit Biden's candidacy with an aggressive immigration speech that accused the president of being responsible for an alleged invasion of foreign criminals that began in 2021. Democratic activists refute the Republicans' claims and reiterate that they are baseless, and they point out that if Harris is the Democratic candidate and wins the November election, she will keep Biden's promise of immigration reform alive, although they are aware that to carry it out, a Congress with sufficient bipartisan votes is needed, something unlikely given the polarization that has existed throughout the development of the 2024 campaign and the immigration positions of both parties. Trump, for his part, has assured that, if he wins the November election, he will carry out the largest deportation of undocumented foreigners in the history of the United States. As the possibility of Kamala Harris becoming the Democratic nominee grows more imminent, the spotlight turns to her commitment to fulfilling Joe Biden's immigration promises. Activists are calling for decisive action to address long-standing immigration challenges and push forward with much-needed reforms. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether Harris can meet these expectations and continue the momentum for change, or if the hopes of millions will face further delay in the quest for justice and reform. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel US Immigration News. We hope you're doing great. Well, in today's video, we will be talking about activists' call on Kamala Harris, now the potential Democratic nominee, to fulfill Biden's immigration promises. Joe Biden's recent announcement of his withdrawal from the presidential race and his endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris as his successor has sparked significant debate, particularly concerning immigration policy. Biden's decision came amid speculation about his candidacy and internal pressure within the Democratic Party. His choice to support Harris reflects his confidence in her ability to continue his administration work, particularly in the light of upcoming challenge against former President Donald Trump, who is seeking a second term. Former President Barack Obama praised Biden's decision but expressed concern about the uncertainties it introduces for the Democratic Party. Activists are particularly anxious about the future of immigration policies under Harris. Abel Nunes, director of CARESN, voiced concerns about Harris' track record on immigration, stressing the need for her to address Biden's unfulfilled promises, including more substantial immigration reforms and relief for undocumented immigrants. Some activists like Juan Jose Gutierrez of the Full Immigrant Rights Coalition criticized Biden's endorsement of Harris as an imposition and argued for a more democratic selection process for the candidate. In contrast, Angelica Salas from Coalition for Human Rights of Immigrants supported Biden's decision, emphasizing Harris' past advocacy for immigrant rights and her potential to uphold Biden's immigration reform agenda. Biden's immigration plan includes a pathway to residency and citizenship for millions of undocumented immigrants, but achieving this depends on Democrats winning the upcoming election and gaining control of Congress. Currently, the Democratic majority in the Senate is slim, and the Republican opposition has stalled significant legislative progress. Biden's administration has attempted to address border issues through executive actions and proposed budget allocation, but bipartisan support remains elusive. If Harris becomes president, she would need to navigate these challenges and push for comprehensive immigration political climate. If Harris becomes president, she would need to navigate these challenges and push for comprehensive immigration reform amid a highly polarized political climate.